Hello, my fellow cigar smokers, and welcome to Smoker's Spot and another pairing. We are smoking today the Miss, the Cuban quai'd orsay Edicion Limitada 2019, and the name is Senadores. And we are drinking a wonderful Scottish whiskey, the Glenmorangie Tarlogan. Let's see if that is a match. So guys, as you can see, I'm already smoking here my quai'd orsay for a while. And it's not looking that bad. Ash is okay, burn is okay. Unfortunately, it developed, let's see if you can see that here. It developed, there, a little crack. But it's working out okay so far. Punch cutted it first, but after a few puffs I recognized two things. The first thing was it's a very mild cigar and it needs some time to develop and step up with a couple of flavors. So it was a very uneven match between the Glenmorangie and the quai'd orsay. The whiskey was dominating, and the draw was not so good, so I opened it a little bit wider and used a regular cut, and then that was when the split happened. Unfortunately, a problem we are facing a lot of times with Cuban cigars, but we have to handle that somehow. The Glenmorangie Tarlogan, my friends. From the distillery Glenmorangie, Tarlogan is the name of a Pictish king who's safeguarding the forest and the river where the water is used by the Glenmorangie distillery in order to producing their whiskey. It's a limited edition. It's around 40 or 50, between 40 and 50 euros, so it's an okay price for a Glenmorangie. Very good whiskey. I mean, look at that color. Isn't that fucking beautiful? Look like liquid gold. So as I said, as I combined it the first time, like I had the feeling I was only drinking whiskey, you know. So I waited a little bit and gave the cigar some more time to get accustomed to the things we're doing here. Since the Glenmorangie is matured in virgin oak and ex-bourbon casks, it has this very fine vanilla sweetness that's coming from the bourbon cask. It has this typical signature Glenmorangie flavor that I like so much. That's why it's one of my favorite scotches. And now the cigar, which is, by the way, in Hermosos number 2. It has a 48 ring gauge and is 6.25 inches long. So a very classically vitola that is used for a lot of limited editions. So the cigar has very typical earth and leather. Like I said, more on the mild side. And it has a very special aroma, and In the first third I wasn't quite sure what it is, but I think it's something spiced like cinnamon, you know. Very untypical, and maybe that's just because I'm drinking the whiskey together with the cigar, but it's fantastic, really, it's fantastic. And it helps me, the flavor helps me a little bit over the flaws we have here in the construction. It's a 17 euro cigar, so that's around $19 or so, and it's one of the 3 limited editions that were released 2019. We had the Ramon Alones number 2, and we had the Monte Cristo Supremos. Both were released, or were released last year, but were a limited edition of 2019. The Cubans always a little bit late with their production run. It was still a little bit too tight for my preference, but it's okay. For me, always there are 2 ways of drinking a whiskey. Taking a sip, just a few seconds, figuring out all the flavors, swallow it. One way. The other way, for me, is taking a sip, leave it in your mouth for around 10 to 15 seconds. And then you will figure it's developing a whole different flavor. It's like, if you want to compare it to a cigar, if you're just smoking a cigar regularly, it has a specific flavor. If you retrohale it, it has a completely different flavor, sometimes. And that's the same with the whiskey. Just simply drinking it, flavor A, leaving it in your mouth and give it some time to develop the flavors, method B. So you have a couple of combinations, retrohaling a cigar and just drinking the whiskey, smoking the cigar normally and leaving the whiskey in your mouth a little bit longer, and the other way around, you know. So you have a couple of combinations, a couple of possibilities to figure out what's the best combination for you. The retrohale here, it's not giving you a whole different flavor in comparison to just puffing it, which is not a problem. Sometimes that's the way it is. And also the cigar developed its flavors and was stepping up a little bit. It's still a little bit, I don't know how to put it. It's a little bit flat, you know. It's kind of one-dimensional. It has flavors, and they are nice, but they're not like merging together, you know, to something really great. Again, maybe the cigar is a little bit too young, I don't know, and maybe it's as lazy as my focus here on the camera. Good morning. Ah, yeah, thank you. But I think I said it in one of the other reviews or so. I don't like to work on my cigars, you know. I just like to smoke the cigars. Remember I was talking about in the try boxing episode, where I said I'm not doing try boxing because that's not the way I'm smoking cigars, you know. I'm taking it out of my humidor, they need to be ready, and I don't want to smoke it. I don't want to try box it a day, or not even a couple of hours, you know. I want to smoke it right now. That's the way it is. But absolutely fine if you preparing your smokes, if you know in advance what you want to smoke, absolutely fine, you know. It's a little bit disappointing. It's not a bad cigar, but you know, we were talking about, I think, in the Ramon Alones episode or in some other review, where I said a couple of weeks ago I knew nobody who smoked that cigar. It was just not available, you know. And then all of a sudden, the cigars were popping up in the stores, you know. So, and of course, we were excited and thought, oh, finally, you know. And I was able to get a few, but yeah, you can leave it in your humidor for a year or two. Maybe they will get better, but there are so many other cigars that are just great, you know. So why wasting your time storing that special cigar, and then after a year figure out the cigar still sucks, you know. I mean, it's not like 20 years ago where you have just a very small variation of cigars. Man, you have tons of cigars that you can smoke, and a lot of them are very good. A lot of them are just average, like frankly this one, just an average okay cigar, and sometimes that's the way it is. But guys, I don't want to rant about Cubans again. I'm tired. So, in this pairing here, the dominating part is clearly the Glenmorangie, because it's a super good whiskey, and it kind of not only dominates the cigar, the flavors are so great over here and multi-dimensional, you know, a lot of flavors, a lot of different things going on when you're drinking it, and then you have this flat cigar that is an okay smoke, but you would need like maybe other whiskey, you know, maybe like, let's say, a Jameson, for example. That maybe would be a good pairing, or Maker's Mark bourbon, for example. That would be maybe nice. But this way it's kind of unfair. It's not a fair match. But still, I'm enjoying the smoke, I'm enjoying the whiskey, so after all, it's okay. But maybe not what I expected. Anyways, guys, that's the way it is. I hope you enjoyed the pairing. I hope you can enjoy a good cigar and a good whiskey. Most importantly, stay safe and stay healthy. And I hope to see you around at Smoker's Spot. Cheers.